Welcome back. Sean Steele Show, Week 9. We said last week this is going to be a little lackluster kind of slate of games, but we were fucking wrong altogether. Absolute fireworks this week. Big action in the SEC. Big action in the group of 5 games. We got a lot to cover. Bryson Shaw, how you doing, buddy? You ready to get into it?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to dive into it. You ready for the first game, man?
Let's get to the first game. What we got on the slate?
All right, so we're going to head down to Norman, and we're going to look at Ole Miss taking down Oklahoma 34-26. What you got? Initial thoughts with this one?
Well, first of all, I proved you wrong on this one. Yeah, I believe you had the Oklahoma Sooners winning this game.
No, we both have Ole Miss winning this game.
All right,
Ole Miss's offense would keep going.
Okay, fine. Okay, Ole Miss, they came out. They played a stellar game. On offense, I feel like that Lane Kiffin-Chambliss relationship is just growing and growing. You see him really just starting to play his sort of game, getting out of the pocket, staying on schedule, making these on-the-run throws. And then this Oklahoma defense, they were getting some pressure on him, but then his legs were just the equalizer. So the offense, they played great again. And then the defense is really the thing that surprised me. They've been struggling all year, but you saw them make some big plays. They had that big safety in the first half. And you just see this team, they just keep on rolling. They have a pretty close game against Georgia and Athens. They go to Norman, get a signature win here. You look at the rest of their schedule, I just don't see how this team ends up not 11-1 by the time we're in late November.
No, I completely agree. When I look at this game, we got to bring up the plan to win like we always talked about, and the big plan to win, not the plan to win on the road, but the big time plan to win, because battle of field position. Steele, we talked about it during the game. It's as important as it gets. It was about 3rd and 9 near midfield, runs the ball. Some people, including myself, are like, man, that's an interesting play call. He goes, he punts it, pins him inside the 5-yard line, and the next thing you know, they get a safety, and that was really the biggest difference in the game. And then turnover battle, Oklahoma starts getting that run game going in that second half. I thought Ole Miss's defense did a really nice job in the second half. They definitely got that run game going, and it looked like they're about to get right back into this thing and maybe take the lead. But then on the punt, guy hits him with the Johnny Bones elbow, causes the fumble turnover. So they win the turnover battle. They win the battle of field position. Then overall, they did do a nice job. Kawan Lacey stood out to me in that first half. Running the ball, they got the run game going, and then they stopped the run. John Mateer, what did you think about John Mateer, man? He had an interesting day.
He did well overall, but once he got to the fourth quarter in some critical situations, he looked pretty bad. I mean, there was a big 4th and down. He had an open whip route in the slot, but he decided to go for it all. I think it was like on a sail route or something. Yeah. He had that, and then he got another chance to either tie the game up or go and win it, and he just didn't look good whatsoever. Yeah. But you see him, he's starting to make steps. He's getting a lot better from what he was versus in that Texas game. You see they're trying to incorporate the run a little more like they were doing early on in the year before the injury, but it just doesn't look the same. He doesn't look as explosive on the ground. But in the air, he's looking better, but now it's coming down to one of those things where I don't think it's the injury that's in the way of it. I think it's just him because it's not physical. It's just all mental stuff that's really screwing him up.
And I tell you what, a good piece of mental pressure like you're talking about, because when you're watching it, it feels like he has to do literally everything for that Oklahoma offense, like literally everything. They don't have a good run game with the running backs, and he has to scramble, make plays with his legs. It just seems like he has to put on that Superman cape for them to have a shot, and I know that's probably weighing on him a little bit. Okay, Ole Miss, man, I agree. 11-1, they're gonna be right there in the mix for this national championship. You ready to move on?
One thing about this Ole Miss team, you brought it up, the big explosive plays. But you saw they kind of reviewed it a little bit during the game. It was all just really simple assignment-based things. So as a defense, you're almost excited about that because it's not like Oklahoma was driving, not like they were running the ball down your throat the whole game. Yeah. They were just making these simple mistakes that you can easily fix in the next weeks.
No. All right. Now you got me in this game. This is the game you got me in. Missouri, Andy. I'll start this one off. First, let's talk about the good. It was a defensive battle. I love watching defensive battles. Missouri's front, bunch of dogs. Vandy, I like how their defense played. And what it came down to me is the big explosive run that Vandy had. That was the biggest difference. And then I wrote down a lack of seasoned quarterback steal because the backup who came in, he didn't do a bad job overall. I thought he actually played pretty well. The true freshman, I believe he was. But even Probula, that's what's killing them this season, the lack of a seasoned quarterback. And then when you talk about Diego Pavia, I know they won, but I don't want to hear anything about him winning the Heisman, to be honest. He was like 10 to 20 with an interception, and then he ran for like 23 yards. So he's got to do better. He's had one really Heisman type of game. So I don't want to hear that anymore. But Vandy, big time win, and they're sitting right there for a good playoff spot. Steele, what do you got with this one?
First of all, you gotta ease up with this Vanderbilt hate, okay? They found a way to win even when it's ugly. That's big.
That is big. No, that is huge. That's important. Yeah. That is important.
So first half, I'm considering a wash. 6 total points. Defenses played lights out. But then in the second half, even whenever Matt Zoller came in, the Missouri offense, they were moving the ball. He was making some pretty good throws. Ahmad Hardy, he was a bell cow on the ground. But the thing that decided this game was just they couldn't score in the red zone. And they had tons of opportunities. They had the 4th down stop after they had just got an interception, and they were right in Vanderbilt's territory.
That's right. They got it right down there.
They had a missed field goal. I believe they had a penalty to get him out of field goal range too. So they got points on the board. And then Vanderbilt, whenever they got an interception and it was in Missouri's territory, they capitalized on it. They, I think, bled out 6 minutes on the clock at the end of the game, punched it in for a score. So you see Missouri have all these red zone trips. Vanderbilt, I think, only had 2, but at the end of the game, somehow Vanderbilt has more points.
Yeah, so you got to capitalize on those opportunities.
They took advantage of those opportunities, and Missouri didn't.
Man, how about that Hail Mary at the end of the game? That would have been crazy if he got that across.
Dude, my God, 3 inches away. After 60 minutes of fucking war, and they're 3 inches away from tying it up.
Always a few inches short, man.
Tell you what, those guys on defense, they weren't doing their job. No one was boxing them out.
No, they weren't.
You got to box him out, man.
Yeah, you got to have a jumper or you got to have all sorts of things. They look like they're just out there playing backyard football. I mean, that's an important situation. But Vandy, I do think looking at them, they play Tennessee. That's the game I got circled. But they're sitting in a good spot. As much as I hate on them, they're sitting in a good spot. Did you see Theo Vaughn and Pavia are just like chilling after the game at this house? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw a clip. They're on Shannon Sharp.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
They're boys, man.
They are. Because he's like 30. But anyway, you ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, this was definitely my favorite game of the weekend. I was locked in on this one. I loved watching it. Alabama versus South Carolina. Bama avoids a big time upset. What do you got with this one? Initial thoughts. You start us off.
Yeah, this is one of the bigger surprises of the weekend. I mean, we kind of just put this aside. Didn't even mention it last week, but then I go watch some game day. Saban saying, "Watch out for this game. This could be a big time upset for South Carolina." And if Saban says something, you listen. So I listened a little bit. I know you were texting me during it, but I don't know. Just Alabama, they came out. They didn't look like the Alabama we've seen the past month. And a lot of that is credited to South Carolina's defense. Dylan Stewart and those guys in the front 7 flying around, making life just abysmal for them. They were struggling getting the ball moving, a bunch of 3-and-outs. And in South Carolina, they struggled a lot on the most part. But Lenore Sellers, he was really going on the ground. He was able to get out of a bunch of shitty situations and make stuff happen. He looked like just an athlete out there playing, and it was really fun to watch him. But the Cox always choke. Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend, she goes there. She was telling me, like, don't get too excited. They're probably going to mess it up somehow. That's just what Beamer does. He gets up big teams, and then sooner or later in the fourth quarter, he fucks up. And that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah. So I think it was a combination of two things. One, all you heard was kind of that 3-game stretch that Alabama just went on, how tough it was and how brutal. So maybe they get through that stretch of ranked games and they're like, we're playing South Carolina, who's really struggling this year. And they kind of take a deep breath and take their foot off the gas, and they go in there a little flat-footed. And then on the flip side, Steele, there's been a couple performances this year that's really stood out to me from team-wise. This South Carolina team came out there to play. They were flying around. They were physical. They did not back down at all. They were doing a lot of good things, moving their front around. I mean, they had – and this is what it came down to me, the end-of-half situation and the end-of-game situation. Because in their first –
Bring up the – wait, are you talking about the start of the second half?
I'm talking about the end of. I'll go and then you throw in there if I miss. So the end of the first half, they have their first 3 drives. They go pretty much 3 and out and have 45 total yards of offense. Alabama does. South Carolina, Stewart. I mean, they were just messing them up, bringing it to them physically, dominating them up front, which was pretty surprising. Then in Alabama's last 2 drives, it was like 3.5 minutes and a half. They go 128 yards and a touchdown. Ty Simpson 4th down conversion to his tight end, which was big, getting points at the end of that half. Then the same thing in the second half. They come out. South Carolina's putting it on them. The Sellers hits the big-time bomb to Harbor, and then they get the turnover off the punt, and they go up by 8 points in the fourth quarter, and you're sitting there like, man, Alabama might get upset here. And then next thing you know, Bama goes down the field. Their last 2 drives again, score, get the 2-point conversion, tie it up, and then Sellers towards the end of the game fumble. He played great. I love watching him play, but that just can't have. I mean, just can't have that in that situation. And then they go down and they win the game. So South Carolina played perfect football pretty much the whole game, except for the end of the second half, end of the first half, and the end of the fourth quarter. And that's what it came down to. And you got to give Alabama credit. If you're an Alabama fan, I know it wasn't pretty, but you got to be happy getting a win, because that environment, that team, that was a tough test for sure.
Yeah. Once that second half started, and like you said, that situation, you stop Alabama on the 4th down. You're in that logo area. We both know if you're on defense, what's going to come after that?
A shot.
A shot came the very next play.
Yeah.
They converted on it. The DBs probably weren't talking like they should have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that moment, I really thought they could do.
Sorry, Steele. You know when I learned about that moment?
What?
Was when we had COVID, 2020 COVID. And did your position coach make you guys do Zoom calls, like meetings, or no?
Alfred did. We didn't have too many meetings. No.
So Coach Barnes, you remember good old Coach Matt Barnes? He would give us each of us a study for the week, and we would have to present it to our position group. And mine was talking about when do shots come, like what formations, what situations. So that was a project I had during COVID. So I know plenty about those shots getting ready to happen. And they weren't ready. But, South Carolina, they had a bunch of opportunities, missed a field goal in the first half. That they're probably sick that they didn't come away with that upset. Okay, moving on, Steele.
Yep.
Moving on. And I'm calling this segment, you can only win the game in the fourth quarter. Are you ready?
I think I know what game you're talking about, yeah.
I got 2 games for you. games for you. The first game we're going to look at is USF versus Memphis.
Yep.
34-31. Memphis outscores USF 17-0 in the fourth quarter. What are your takeaways with this one?
I mean, the offenses were moving this game. Oh, God, what's his name? Byron Brown, Brendan Lewis, both QBs for these teams. They played outstanding. Byron Brown was huge on the ground this game. But like you said, I guess this is a segment about fourth quarters. Memphis was killing them in the fourth quarter. They kept that explosive offense off the field. And then USF, the way they handled the end of the game, that's just not what you want to see from a team that's supposed to be a playoff contender.
Yeah.
You have a dumb penalty. You get yourself out of field goal range. You miss a field goal by very little. And you're kind of sitting back like, God, like we had this game in the bag. We were in field goal range. We have everything in front of us. And now you're just going to be playing behind the 8 ball the rest of the year. You hope that you see him again in the American League Championship, but that's just – if you're going to play like this, that's just not going to happen. You're going to get snuck in another game this year if you keep playing like that. And then Memphis, great job going out there, getting a win. We both thought that USF was going to take this, but Memphis showed out, got a big one.
Yeah, I mean, that's Memphis' second time coming back. And if you're USF, you're absolutely right, Steele. You got to play as a group of 5 team. You got to play perfect, not just one game, but the whole season. And you can't have that type of stuff. And it comes down to situations. In close competitive games, it comes down to situational football, and they drop the ball on that. Okay, moving on to the next. You can only win the game in the fourth quarter. Yep. The Texas Longhorns versus Mississippi State. That is a really, really, really tough loss for Mississippi State. They've lost something like 15 or maybe 16 straight conference games, and just bad ball. They got outscored 24-7 in that fourth quarter to send it into overtime. Steel Chambers, what did you think about Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns?
First of all, I'm embarrassed that neither of us had this game as a possible game to watch.
Yeah, right.
Starkville with those bell cows is ridiculous. I don't know how they get away with clinking those fucking games.
Have you ever been to Mississippi State for a visit? Did you visit there or anything?
No.
Yeah, no, me neither. But I heard those cowbells are wild.
I see clips of people talking about some videos of it. It's wild. But I mean, Arch Manning, he had on. It's kind of like a career day for him. Whenever you look at the stats, he had a really solid game overall. He was throwing. He hurt you a little bit on the ground. But one thing, I'm more pissed off about this game because Texas just doesn't look good. Like, how do I say this? Congrats, you went on you're in the SEC. You went on the road. You got to win. But you look at the past two games. You've been playing lower level teams, and you just passed by the skin of your teeth in both of them. Your defense, that's supposed to be top 5 in the entire country, lets up 400 yards in the air against this lower Mississippi State team. Your quarterback, he's looking like he's in concussion protocol. We don't know if he's going to get back next week. And then you look at the games they have left. I mean, they've got Vandy, Georgia, Texas A&M. Georgia's on the road. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't look good for Texas.
No, I think they got a harsh reality about to hit them. They're just – you can't keep messing around like that and floating around and then get to some of these big programs and big games and expect to win those. So Texas is still ranked. Texas is still, right in the hunt, but they got to turn things around. And who knows, maybe that second half carries over for them.
I don't know, man. It's going to be an uphill battle for that program.
And then Mississippi State, man. What do you got for Mississippi State fans? I know
you can't give up 24 points in the second half.
Yeah, fourth quarter.
My bad. The fourth quarter. You cannot do that. You've got this team on the ropes in your house to stomp on their throats and end the game. You can't do that. I don't know.
They weren't ringing those cowbells loud enough, I guess.
Hell no, man. I don't know if maybe they got to run the ball more, eat up more clock, but 24 points in the fourth quarter, that's unacceptable.
Unacceptable. All right, let's move on to one of our last games. In this, Steele, you provided the perfect game plan, Texas A&M versus LSU. But these guys simply did not go out there and execute. And I'm talking about the linebackers. First off, Texas A&M wins this 49-25 and dominated them in the second half.
Ass beating. I didn't watch the fourth quarter.
But it looked like coaching malpractice all over the place. What did you see with these linebackers, Steele, and overall? Because you provided the game plan, and they tried it, but they didn't execute it. So talk about what you saw.
So first off, I think it was 5 minutes into the game. Marcel Reed, they do a half boot to the field, running a flood concept. The linebackers, their eyes are just a complete mess. They're just drifting off into the great abyss, looking in the backfield, not paying attention to anything. And then Marcel Reed, he just sees green grass, takes off, no one catches him. That was the start of a massive problem in the fact that they could not continue on the ground. Yeah. And the sad part is it seemed like they tried, but whoever was the spy, whoever had eyes on them, they couldn't keep up. They had very undisciplined eyes. Marcel Reed had another touchdown in the red zone where Harold Perkins was a spy and he was looking at the routes for some reason.
I mean, he's got his heels on the goal line and then he's drifting, looking at routes, drifting about 3-4 yards deep.
Whenever you're a spy, your one job is to stay on the quarterback and you get up at the line of scrimmage. You do not drift into the end zone of all places. So don't have your eyes on the routes. Your one job is stopping Marcel Reed. And the next thing you know, he's at the goal line. He lays you. You look like an idiot. Like it was so bad. And
it was bad. And I don't just necessarily, and I was watching that. And then you get the special teams punt return. And, I'm watching Kelly cuss out his coaches. But there's no way. I blame the linebacker coach. And we've been on Blake Baker. We like Blake Baker. We think he does a great job. But all week long, you had been talking about Marcel Reed and his ability to extend plays, and if you're spying them, your rules. And I just find it hard to believe that multiple times we saw these guys losing their eyes on him, and it just I think it's a little bit of the players being undisciplined and the and then the coaches just not doing their job. And with that being said, Coach Kelly, his time 34-14 with the Tigers, good for a lot of other programs, but not a program like LSU. He gets fired yesterday. What are you thinking about that?
I think this game was a big look behind the curtains as far as the kind of culture that he's instilling there, because you get to the second half, they start getting their ass beat. They played a fantastic first half, so they know that they have the talent to stay in this game. But then as soon as shit got hard, you saw, especially on defense and offensive line offense,
it looked like they totally quit.
They gave up. And then you hate to see it because the camera goes to the sideline, and the only guy showing any emotion is Whit Weeks in a boot.
In street gear, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that just
I genuinely felt bad for him. I mean, you could see there's the pain in him, and this. But he was absolutely right to freak out because you didn't see much. Once the stuff got hard, they definitely packed it in, 100% packed.
And that all comes around to the coach, because you think of past LSU coaches. My granny can attest to this.
Yeah,
you've got Saban, you've got Les Miles, you've got Ed Ogeron. They all that's not flying under their watch. They've all got SEC titles. They've all got national championships. That because you let up a few touchdowns in the second half doesn't mean you just quit. But Brian Kelly, you saw what he's kind of doing with that program. Whenever shit hit the fan, the team just buckled. They gave up. And that's just not LSU football. That's not LSU culture. And it's a good thing he's out, because people are starting to realize he's not fit for that team.
And it's like we talked about with Florida Steel. It's like, even though Napier didn't really get it done, you didn't see his players ever quit on him. They always fought. They always gave it everything they had. But with this LSU team, not only was Coach Kelly not getting it done, but it was obvious to me, and it sounds like it was obvious to you, that his players quit on him in that second half. So
he had no one fighting for him.
Nobody fighting for him. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but another huge coaching job. So my question for you is, Steele, let's say you're a big-time coach in one of these smaller –
I feel like it would be remiss. I don't know the word, but we do have to talk about Texas A&M a little bit, because it wasn't all just LSU. Yeah. Not all LSU just being bad.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Texas A&M looked damn good.
No, Texas A&M is my number one team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Texas A&M is my number one team in the SEC.
Yeah.
And it's how they're playing. And Kurt Herbstreit, I think, hit the nail on the head. He was like, this Texas A&M team, this is the type of performance that looks different. Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with him. Texas A&M Marcel Reed was getting it done on the ground, but their defense, number 9, I'm blanking on. Do you know his name? Yeah, that guy. They got some dogs on that team. They got some real dogs on that team. They hunt, they get after it, and I think they're my number one team in the SEC. It's going to be them.
Absolutely. Mike Elko in this defense, that's what I was really surprised about, because about their offense. About Marcel Reed, Casey Conception, Mario Craver. But now that they've got a defense that can put pressure on the quarterback and honestly win games if they need to be, that just puts your team in a much better situation, where you're not hoping that the offense just goes out and does its job every single time. Maybe Marcel Reed has a bad week, and then they have the defense to pick him up and end up getting a win late in the fourth quarter. That's what these championship contender teams need, and that's what we're seeing out of Texas A&M this year.
Yeah, no, the Texas A&M is a legit football team, and they prove that. We got to stop sleeping on them, Steele. Week in, week out, we're like,
I think this is our third week doing it.
We got to stop.
I had them losing 2 games whenever we did our little playoff prediction thing. Now I feel like a fool.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a top 4 team. I think they're going to get to the SEC championship, and even if they slip up in the SEC, I think they're still going to be one of those top 4 teams.
I will say, I don't think they do.
You don't think they slip up?
I was talking to my buddy. No. I think get to 11 and wait. Oh God, no, they're undefeated.
Yeah, I'm saying if they go undefeated.
Yeah, I take it back completely. If they lose one, then Georgia gets in just based off how they choose. I think they go off your opponent's record or something.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. Okay, you ready to talk about some coaching and stuff?
Yeah.
Steele Chambers, if you're a hot shot coach, and also thank you for bringing up Texas A&M, because we definitely need to talk about that. If you're a hot shot coach, everybody wants you. You're going to LSU, you're going to Florida, Penn State, and we'll just throw in Oklahoma State for the fun of it. Where is Steel Chambers going to go be the next head coach at?
Dude, I mean, first of all, what a great time to be a coach trying to vie for a job, because you just got the world in front of you. But if I had to pick, I can't do Penn State just because of my Ohio State roots.
Yeah.
But I would probably go down to Baton Rouge and coach for the LSU Tigers.
Oh man, yeah.
I've got family over there. I'm about to do a segment together where I'm going to interview my granny down in the bayou, and we're going to talk about everything LSU. We're going to talk about Brian Kelly and how she hates him.
That's going to be awesome.
That's going to be fun. But yeah, dude, I mean, I'm going to be saying hi to the Tiger every single day. Got a live Tiger on campus, but I don't know. There's so many coaching jobs open up now, and those three that you mentioned, those are all probably in the top 10 as far as the best coaching jobs in college football. Yeah, we talked about it a little last week. I'm really interested to see how this all turns out, to see if maybe Ole Miss has a new opening, if Kiffin decides to leave and go to Florida or something, but it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, he's got some big time offers on the table from what I'm hearing. So we'll see. If I was looking to take a next job, I would head down to the swamp. I'm a big swamp guy. I think Florida's got a ton of talent right there in their backyard. So does Louisiana. They got the Louisianimals, as my friend Tackett likes to say, plays for Wisconsin. He calls himself a Louisianimal, which is pretty good. But I like Florida. I like the pool of players they got for recruiting, and they just need somebody to run a tight ship, and they're going to be golden. So I think I would take the Florida job, and we'll see. All right, Steele, you got anything else?
You think Franklin gets one of those jobs?
Dude, if I was an LSU fan or a Florida fan and we hired James Franklin, I would be not too happy.
All right.
Especially if I was LSU, because it's basically the same thing. You know, go 10-2, 9-3 every single year. That's what you're getting.
I don't know. I mean, Franklin.
I don't know if Franklin has a tight enough ship, dude.
Pennsylvania has good players there. But I feel like if Franklin takes what he did at Penn State, he goes down south, and now recruiting gets so much easier because, like you said, you've got players right in your backyard. I don't know. Maybe it gets a little better. Maybe him in the SEC is a better look. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean,
I'm going after Gruden. That's who I'd.
Yeah, Gruden, especially if I'm LSU, I'm going after Gruden. Big time.
That dude is LSU through and through.
He's got LSU written all over him. Them crazy people. Your granny will be loving Coach Gruden.
She'd be salivating over Gruden.
No, that I would have seen him back in coaching. But I tell you what, if I was Coach Gruden, I'd keep doing what I'm doing. You know, the pressure's kind of low. I'm making a ton of money. My stock and my brand is just booming. I wouldn't go back to coaching. But if that's on his heart and that's what he wants to do.
I mean, knowing that psychopath, he probably wants to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you see what else too, right?
Yeah. You see a dude that just he loves football more than anything in the world.
Tom. He's like Tommy.
He's like Tommy, but like if Tommy could verbally express himself.
Yeah, he just loves ball, man. Loves ball, loves football. All right, brother. That wraps it up for our Week 9 recap. You got anything else?
Nope. I'm excited for next week.
Me too. Thursday. And we got a big guest coming on.
Do we now?
Yeah, we do.